In this lesson, we will create the character's leg bones. Alright, let's say we move over to our side view. Now here's how we'll set this up. We'll make sure that we can prevent buckling in the knees when the center of gravity rotates back and forth. So knee buckling can lead to some really nasty knee animation where we have to do a lot of counter keying to clean it up. We might as well prevent that now by taking an extra step to make sure that the leg's chain is going to be aligned to the pelvis properly. Let's go ahead and grab our bone tools. And we'll go ahead and start our chain right near the pelvis, not on the pelvis. We won't have this chain attached to that bone just yet. I'll go ahead and create the bone for the shin, and then we'll finish at the ankle. Alright, so from here we can move over to our perspective view. Let's go ahead and go to wireframe mode. We'll go ahead and grab our root. Let's go ahead and press Shift A to align this to our pelvis. Alright, now using the world coordinate system for our move tool, let's go ahead and slide this over in the x-axis. Now as long as this bone is on the same plane as the pelvis bone, that's how we're going to prevent knee buckling when we rotate back and forth. So what we see here is very similar to what we'll see once the leg is finished. And see how the leg does not move at all. Alright, great. Let's go ahead and clean this up a bit. We need to work on reorienting the chain. Let's go ahead and press A to turn off angle snap, and I'll go ahead and just rotate this over in the y-axis. I'll also rotate this in the z-axis in world mode. Might be easier to reorient the chain that way. Alright, that looks pretty good. So from here, we can go ahead and grab the shin bone. Let's go ahead and use our move tool. We'll set the move tool's mode to local. And we can start to reposition the shin. If you like to position the nub as well, you can always double click on the shin and the nub. And now when you enter bone edit mode, when you slide the shin, you'll see that the nub will also follow. If we only have one selected, of course, only one bone is going to be modified. So I'll go ahead and just zoom in close just to make sure that this shin bone is centered right at the knee. Great. And we'll make sure that the ankle is in the right spot so that we'll get the right ankle deformations. Just drag this down a bit more. Alright, great. So from there we can exit bone edit mode. Let's go ahead and start to rename this chain. Now this is not going to be skinned to. The only bones we'll really skin to on the leg will be our flexi bones, and a counter twist bone we'll learn how to create shortly. That's going to be another really fun topic. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and give this a prefix of bn drv for bone driver underscore L for left underscore thigh underscore main 01. Now we're adding main to this name because we'll also create bone systems for our IK and FK legs and arms. We'll want those systems to be tied to this main system, so we're just doing this for clarity. Let's go ahead and copy this name and use that to rename the shin. It's going to be L shin main 01, and then we can also rename this ankle nub. That's going to be L ankle. Great. Alright, now this would be a good time to just go ahead and mirror this chain across. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to go in and create a helper. Go ahead and create just a point helper here. Just add it to the scene. And let's go ahead and align this to the thigh. I'm going to go ahead and use Alt-A because we'll use this helper later. So I'll use Alt-A to align this to the left thigh. And position and orientation. We'll now go ahead and choose OK. Alright, great. So from there, let's say we go ahead and move back to world mode. And taking a look at the X position of this helper, you can see here, if we want to make sure that the leg will be mirrored correctly, we want to simply use the reciprocal of what we see in our x-axis. So let's go ahead and clone this helper. That's going to be Control V. We'll clone this as a copy, which is okay. And instead of positive 3.5, we'll use about negative 3.5. Again, just the reciprocal of this value we see here. Perfect. So now we can go ahead and take the thigh. We'll go ahead and double click to grab the entire chain. We can move back to our bone tools. And now we can use our mirroring tool. So go ahead and click that. Everything else is good. So we want to use X as our mirror axis and Y as our flip. And we'll set this up so that we do get mirrorable FK controls. So that's going to be another really fun topic. But let's go ahead and start to just slide this over just a little bit, and now we can choose OK. And all we need to do now is go ahead and take the new root here for the right thigh. Let's press Shift A and go ahead and line that now to our helper. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and take this helper that we cloned. We'll press Alt A and align that to the right thigh, making sure it's also aligned in orientation. Now, why are we doing that? Well, to set up our counter twist rig, we basically need to find the twist axis of this bone. Now, for a clean twist axis, we can simply take our thigh bones and link them to these objects that basically match the orientation of these thighs. So once that happens, that will give us a 0 local rotation value that we'll need for our twist axis, so we can very easily plug that into our twist rig to create a counter twist solution that will prevent things like the pants and sleeves from twisting when the arms move. So again, it's going to be really fun. We're just taking care of that now. So once we have these objects in place, this would be a good time to go ahead and rename these helpers. I'll go ahead and use the name of the thigh. Go ahead and copy that. We'll go ahead and grab the helper on the left side, paste the name, and that's going to be PT DRV L thigh. We'll get rid of main. We'll just use that 01. All right, great. No need for main because our IK and FK systems will also be linked to this helper. We could always go ahead and copy the name of this and use that to rename the helper on the right side. Let's go ahead and paste. It's going to be R instead of L. All right, great. So now it's just a matter of taking the thigh and linking that to the helper. We want the helper to be linked to the pelvis. I'll go ahead and link that to the pelvis bone. And now what we could do is go ahead and grab the thigh. Let's go ahead and double click it to select the entire chain. We can Alt right click and choose Freeze Transform. Alrighty, let's do the same thing on the right side. So we'll just go in and take our thigh bone, link that to the helper, and the helper to our pelvis bone. Great. And remember, we can use page up just to make sure that we are linking to the correct object. And now we'll double click on the right thigh to grab its chain, Alt right click and freeze its transforms. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and take a look. So now we should notice that the legs follow. All right, it's pretty basic. Great. All right, what do we need to do now? We need to go ahead and rename our chain on the right side. So instead of L, that's going to be R. And you can see, since we have used the mirroring tool under the bone tools, we have the suffix mirrored. So we just want to remove that from the name. That's simple enough. So I'll go ahead and leave that up to you to rename the shin and the ankle. But what we'll want to do from there is go ahead and grab both helpers. We'll use Control page down to grab and add these objects to our hidden layer. All right, great. So that's going to finish this lesson. In the next lesson, we're ready to create our foot bones.